footy itself has had to muscle its way onto a jam-packed 360 agenda. The day after the deed in Adelaide, Brenton Sanderson says he never saw the axe coming as emotions in South Australia boil.
He was a good person. He brought our club from nothing. We were bottom. So please explain what the hell is going on here. Knives belong in the cutlery drawer, not in somebody's back.
Timing is everything. The Crows come the proverbial day late as Simon Goodwin commits to the Melbourne succession plan with Paul Roos. And the Hawks take the Conservative route with Cyril. He'll play this weekend, but it'll be in the VFL Grand Final. I'm Gerard Whateley, here's Mark Robinson. This Thursday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard.
Knives belong in the cutlery drawer, not in people's backs.
This is very emotional.
That was passionate.
It was. How's your Thursday? It's great Thursdays,
yeah,
isn't it?
It is. Baz, Cam, Vossy, Drew Petrie from Sydney.
The triple premiership coach is coming on.
Yep, player. Yep.
And player, what did I say? Coach. He can't be that.
He's a ratings juggernaut.
He is. He's beating 360. Oh, it'd be great to talk to Vossy. This is his time.
It is.
And he made his name.
They all have had their moments at this time.
Who were the other two? Mooney and Barry?
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did.
Really...
They did. Who would you go into battle with first? Hall, Mooney or Voss? Who would you like to follow?
Oh, I'd follow Vossy. Yeah, Baz would cut a bigger swathe, but I'd still go with Vossy.
Barry's soft.
He's a kitten, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd go with Vossy, I think. Have a beer with Moons afterwards, but I'd go with Vossy.
What are you looking forward to?
There's so much to look forward to. This actually was the hardest thing I had to do today, was answer what am I looking forward to this week. And the one thing I thought to myself I really am is getting to the MCG about... What time's the game start?
4:45.
I'll get there about 4:45. And just soak in. I hope it's a really, really nice day, and I'm looking forward to Port Adelaide playing on the MCG. I don't know if they'll win. Who knows? I would not have a clue. But I'm looking forward to Ken Hinkley's men taking on Hawthorn and saying, righto, let's play, let's run, let's tackle, let's chase, and see who comes out on top. They've just been such an exciting team. Hawthorn are a professional team. I don't look at Hawthorn anymore and say, geez, they're exciting. Yeah. It's just the norm. I expect it from them. Port Adelaide play some breathtaking football. And what a place to do it than the MCG.
The fresh blood is exciting.
Oh, no doubt.
The prelims.
No doubt. What are you looking forward to?
I'm hoping for a tight last quarter. In either game, it doesn't faze me. But thinking back over the past 7 years, there have been 5 absolute thrillers. And I still think this is the best of them. Collingwood and Hawthorn, where Franklin looked like he was going to win it at one.
God, that was a great goal.
Luke Ball pulled it back at the other. But they all spring to mind. Collingwood and Geelong, when Geelong was on that march through 2007 and they got the jitters up that night against Collingwood. St Kilda and the Bulldogs, Hawthorn and Adelaide, which was so unexpected. Last year, Hawthorn and Geelong, which looked destined for extra time. But that was the one for me a couple of years back.
99 prelim was okay too.
Oh, I kept it to the past 7 years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because there's so many that you could run through. Preliminary finals, we've said it repeatedly, they are great.
We heard Jordan talking about it Tuesday night. Was
they're
that
distinct
last night?
from everything else.
Yeah.
And they're different to grand finals.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a great weekend.
To go the distance.
Let's get into the teams. What do you reckon?
Okay. Well,
how's that for a segue from the co-host?
Top of the agenda was always going to be Hawthorn selection. Which rein would Alistair Clarkson pull? Well, with Cyril Rioli, they've taken the conservative route, probably the sensible route. He'll play in the VFL Grand Final on Sunday should Hawthorn be victorious. Suckling comes in having proven his fitness, and Brad Sewell loses his place.
Well, on a personal note, Gerard, that's very sad for me and you, because we've sat next to Surly for a long, long time and talked footy, and we know what sort of footballer he is. We know what sort of finals football it is. A big decision by Hawthorn. They've gone with a guy who's been playing half forward, but would be probably rotated through the middle for the grunt, but they've gone with an outside player, a user of the ball. Made me think, are they expecting a more free-flowing game than usual? We've just been talking up Port Adelaide. We've been talking about Port Adelaide's run and gun game for such a long time. Do they need more run and rebound football? You know, it's a big decision. What were your thoughts when you?
Oh, my heart broke for Sully. Yeah, it wasn't outside the realms of possibility, was it? And you'd written about it earlier in the week, but it was when it wasn't Cyril for Sewell.
That was a surprise.
Yeah. So Sewell's been named in the centre in the VFL Grand Final team, and you're never out of the frame at this time of year, and we've seen that repeatedly. What about the Rioli situation? There's ultimate wisdom in this. Yeah. Instead of playing him first up after 3 months in the preliminary final, you send him through, and if you make the Grand Final, you might have him right through, and if he breaks down in the VFL Grand Final, it's not nearly as costly as if it happens early in a prelim.
It just adds, I've used the word proud to describe Hawthorn if I was a Hawthorn fan. I look at Hawthorn and I say, what an organisation. They're not jumping. They're not jumping at shadows. They're confident with the structure. They're confident with the team they've got and the people they've got. They're not desperate. Oh, Cyril's right, let's throw him back in. It is a decision of a professional, confident football match committee who is confident in their team and the way they play. We always say, and it's not my saying, but people say you don't need magic, you need hard work. And of course he would help. He'll come in and play next week, I think. If he gets a game under the belt and he gets through, I think he'll play next week if Hawthorn gets through. But courageous decision, but a strong decision. Yeah. But I don't expect anything less from this football club.
Play the long.
They leave out Cyril and they drop Brad Sewell. One's a highlight reel, and the other one's busted his gut for 200 games. There's a strength.
Yep,
that
there is
club.
A surety in that. Tomorrow night's teams, Sydney, we were waiting to see whether there would be a change. There's not. That means Nick Malcheski has done all that he can so far. So barring a late change, his hamstring has come up, and he is expected to be there.
What can you say? Unchanged. They've had the week off. Malcheski's right. All the niggles are going to be gone. They're going to hit that track on Friday night, tomorrow night, with everything going for them. No excuses, actually. No excuses for the Swans tomorrow night. I know it's teams night, and we're going to be getting further into them with Cam and Baz, but I look at Sydney. They've got their best team. No excuses. And if they lose, this will be a failed season for me, for the Sydney Swans.
Set that up for a longer conversation. This was John Longmire about Nick Malcheski today.
At this stage, I can only just go with what's in front of me right now, which is he feels good. He did all the training yesterday and he's pulled up well today. So, at this stage, we'd just expect the name in the team and expect him to play.
Now, we knew there had to be one change at North Melbourne with Jamie McMillan missing with the hamstring, and Ben Jacobs returns to the team. So no Lee Adams from a little way back. He'd played in the last round of the season and got the concussion there, and no Lockie Hansen, who was coming from a long way back with the groin injury.
Not more importantly, but to add to it is the intrigue is Joel Tippett's been named as an emergency. Who knows if he'll come in or not? I don't know if they were. Why would they play games at this stage of the year? I do not know. Clearly, they've thought, right, we need more run, and we need a key defender. They got faith in their defence. I don't know if Lee Adams was close or not. If it was touch and go, I think I heard Brad Scott say this week that he needs another week. So go on face value. Okay, Brad, he needs another week. If I'm doubting, and he was touch and go, unfortunately for Lee Patch, the young fella, Kane Turner's come in and taken Patch Adams' position.
Yep.
And you can't kick the kid out. He's laying tackles, he's doing inspirational stuff. I'm not saying that Patch Adams can't do that.
Yep.
But as the season's worn on and it was a sliding door, Turner got in. And you stayed there.
All right, we'll park the footy for a moment. Drew Petrie will join us from the Harbour City shortly. But the day really has been dominated by the fallouts of the Brenton Sanderson sacking. As the football world's dissected the decision made by the Adelaide Crows, fans have had their say, and the club itself has justified its drastic action.
I'm absolutely shocked, and I'm pretty furious about this decision.
This board has blood all over their hands.
Mark Ricciuto's obviously is, as Michelangelo Rucci says, the kingmaker.
He's the kingmaker now, for sure.
This decision hasn't been made on what they know is right. It's been made on what they know is wrong. They know more about it than we do. Yep. They know that this man's not the man for the job. There's a lot wrong at that club. They're not an attractive club at the moment. They're not. And I think they've come in and said, we've got to do something drastic. There's only so many things you can do that are drastic. And this is the most drastic of them all. It won't be the right man, because it's a huge decision for your club to sack someone like this and then get it wrong.
We won't accept mediocrity. Our fans and supporters don't accept mediocrity.
and they expect this board, management of the football club, to make hard decisions, and we've done that. It's a tough decision, it's emotional, it invokes a lot of emotion, and I accept that. But none of us want this to happen.
I would say that if we didn't make this decision, things could go from bad to worse.
Well, then, from what you've just said, he wasn't a good coach. He wasn't up to it.
Well, you don't get sacked if you...
No.
Otherwise, do you?
In our review, we just reached the conclusion that we need to go into a different direction. We've made that decision. We didn't make it lightly. It's as tough as all hell. Took it, as I would expect, very, very maturely. Doesn't agree with the decision, thinks we've made a wrong decision, and I'd expect him to say that. We haven't got a replacement. That process begins today.
We're making changes, and we're going to get it back to being a strong, powerful football club with a great culture. So over to you, Adelaide. We'll view this through the prism of 5 questions and 3 clubs by the time we're done, Robbo. The first is, has this been particularly messy?
Yeah, but they always are.
They always are.
All of them. I mean, the ones that aren't are the ones that are expected. This is messy. Tell what, Rashido and Chapman painted a very, very bleak picture, didn't they, of inside the club. You know, we're going to get back to being a strong club and a great culture. So I immediately think, what, they're not a strong club? They haven't got a great culture? Very, very bleak from the 2 senior people at the Adelaide Football Club.
They sheeted a lot home to Sanderson.
Didn't they?
And I'm honestly not sure that they're entitled to do that. But the day is trying to justify what you've done. They didn't save his reputation.
No, they didn't.
And I'm glad Sanderson didn't front up to a joint press conference, because that would have...
I hate that when that happens.
Been terrible.
I hate that. I've hated it when Grant Thomas sat there with everyone who sacked him at St Kilda. It was very, very awkward for everyone. In some way, Jared, I don't admire them. I say, righto, boys. Rashido, Chapman, you're being tough. Not good enough, move them on. Your replacement better be good. You spoke about that last night, Jared. Now it's a waiting game. Who are you going to bring in, and who are you going to reinforce this football club, build this football club again? Last thing I'll say, Chapman spoke tough. But for him to say, and I don't know him, but clearly he's prepared to make the tough decisions. But don't sit there and tell us the process hasn't begun, and then have Simon Goodwin the next day come out and say, yeah, Roo rang me last night. Roo rang me last night, and Chapman says today, oh yeah, we really haven't got anyone in mind. The process as a replacement hasn't started. That is a down... I can't say that. That is not correct. That is not correct. And don't tell me that Rashido and Chapman aren't talking. He's a football director and the chairman, for God's sake. Tell the truth. Yep, you know what? We got rid of him. We investigated Simon Goodwin, but he said no, he's going to Melbourne. You know, so don't fiddle with the truth. If you're going to be as hard and as strong as you are, go the whole lot. Go all in and say, right, we haven't got a great culture. Roo, we don't think he's a great coach. Well done. Well done. But then don't tell little porkies on the way through.
OK, the last act for Brenton Sanderson was to front his own press conference, which he did with a tremendous sense of dignity.
Brendan, people are saying out there that you may have lost the players. Do you think that happened?
Well, I don't think so, Rennie. I think my relationship with the players is really strong. As I said, I've been really happy with the support I've got from the players in the last 24 hours. You know, my phone's been ringing off the hook, and some emotional players who are really disappointed. But as I said to those players, you know, I did fall in love with the group. You know, they were a fantastic young group, and I really enjoyed working with them. And I certainly wish them all the best for the future. And I'm sure they're going to taste success really soon. It's a shock for me, obviously, because I didn't see it coming. But yeah, in these situations, when you lose your job, it's never something that you're going to sit back and enjoy. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, you know, ride emotionally the last 24 hours. But I've got great support from my former coaches, you know, from my family, and as I said, I've had a lot of calls from players, and that I've been really happy to take. And yeah, as I said, I'll take a breath and look forward to the next opportunity that presents.
It's excruciatingly public, and when he said, I've lost my job, that really did bring it home. Do you feel for Sanderson? No, I do.
Yeah, I'll ask you.
I'm happy to take that one.
Why? Why do you feel for him?
because he was marching down a path that he felt fully fortified to heading into a new season with all the planning, and he got blindsided by it. He can't stand there today and rebut some of the accusations made because that exit press conference, you have to have grace, dignity and bite your tongue. You can't burn the place down as you walk out the door.
Why not?
Because it would be undignified and it wouldn't help him in the next phase of his career. He's 40. He's got a long time left in football.
You've only got one life. You've only got one life. Do I feel for him? Of course I feel for him. I don't know him that well. He's a pleasant man. I enjoy talking to him when I've spoken to him. From a personal relationship, that doesn't really worry me. From a football relationship, he's had his career pulled out. And he gets up and he okay, I admire him for biting his tongue. But gee, one day I'd like someone to turn around and tell the truth. At an exit press conference, at 40 years of age, he's got one life. And he's a good person, he will fall on his feet. But to turn around and say, you know what, bang, 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 that's what I would like to see.
Yes.
It's a hard world out there, Jared.
Yeah,
everyone panders to this idea. Don't say anything, you might upset people and rah, rah, rah. If your life's been turned upside down by a group of people and you disagree with it, say it.
Well, he did. He said that part of it.
Aggressively.
He said he absolutely disagreed with the decision that had been made in the direction that the club was going in. You can't be bitter as you walk out, right?
Oh, you can. You're allowed.
Not even Kevin Rudd was bitter as he left.
Who cares? I would be better because I'd want to keep doing it. If you started backstabbing me around here and I got sacked I found out and I was on here for the last show, do you reckon I'd sit there and go, it's been terrific working with Jared. He's just been fantastic and I would rip your throat out. Not physically, verbally. The show would never get back on. Anyway, you know how I feel.
What did the Crows do next, as Rob Chapman gave the best hint as to what they were looking for?
But we need a premiership coach that can come in, engage our players, put together a leadership program, put together a high-performance culture, create that, rigorous feedback and lead this team and achieve what we all think it can achieve.
So we used the phrase a premiership coach twice. What the definition of the premiership coach is. What do the Crows need?
I'm not into this. Port Adelaide have gone ahead of them, which they have. So we've got to get a coach that really, puts the Crows in an exciting thing. Win games of football, and that'll get their crowds going, and that'll get the attention going. They need a football coach. Who? Premiership coaches? No, there's not a tree that says, all these premiership coaches go on a tree, so let's go and pick one and say, we'll put him in. It's a hard gig. There's not a lot of premiership coaches around. Do they need a local boy? Do they need Nathan Bassett? Do they need Stuart Dew? Do they need... Because we've had this discussion many times. Who are the next generation of coaches? They're in the assistant coaching ranks. Then do they go after a Brett Ratton? I don't see that. So what do they need? Simon Goodwin, the favourite son? No, I'm not coming back. So who's actually left? Is Michael Voss? Is Michael Voss a candidate? Ask him when he comes on. He's on later. You ask him, OK?
If you pointed him like this and ask him, you might get the answer.
He will grab my finger and snap it off. But you understand, to be honest, I don't know what they need. But according to Adelaide, they haven't got anyone in mind, which we know is a little white lie, because they had Goodwin in mind. So who's next? Who is the most... I don't know. Who are the most exalted assistant coaches out there? Your list is as good as my list. Yep. I don't know who they need.
It all sits with what they think.
Don't give me personality and razzmatazz. No. Give me a football coach who's going to coach this team.
OK. They wouldn't have been $1 short, the Crows, but they were certainly a day late. This was the back page of the Adelaide Advertiser this morning, but by lunchtime, Simon Goodwin was sitting next to Paul Roos, being announced as the next coach of the Demons.
He was very respectful of the decision. He's a great mate, obviously, but he understands what it takes to build success, and I know that he'll go about that with Adelaide. He knows that I'm passionate about coaching, and coaching is what I want to do, and I see this as the best fit for me. The Melbourne Footy Club, as I said, it's got a clear strategy. They know what it's going to take to be successful, and it is a journey that we want to be on.
and I can't speak for Mark Rasciuto, but I'm sure he would have been ringing to find out whether Goody would have been coaching Adelaide. So clearly to have someone that's been really sought after as one of the next coaching to come to our football club and be so positive about it throughout the whole process, I think it sends an amazing message to our players, to people that may want to come through the trade week, to our supporters to join up again. I know how frustrated they've been, but I think I said it best and fairest night. This is a different footy club, whether they like it or not.
So that was what happened at Melbourne.
I'll take it down now.
Reporting happens.
Oh no, it's been quite a robust discussion between clips.
Were the Crows too slow to get to Goodwin?
No. So, this
has been. Well, Brucey and Bomber spoke about this together.
Yeah, I know.
About 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
So this has been a long build towards Goodwin.
Yeah, it is. And Goodwin spoke really well on his various media outlets today, Jared, and he said, you know, I love the place. I had a really great time there, but my pathway's not Adelaide. My pathway's Melbourne. Like, it just seems quite. It's been going for weeks. He's had his heart set on this, and he's really, really invested in Melbourne. Rasciuto rang last night to find out, you know, would you maybe be interested? Mm-hmm. The only way he would reject Melbourne's offer is if he was offered the job. And that would defeat the purpose of everything Adelaide has said in the last 24 hours. Would you agree with that?
Yep. There was that nice story that for a period of time no one could get a hold of Simon Goodwin last night. Yeah. Which I think we all know because we were all ringing as well. And he was at his daughter's concert.
He reckons he
got a bit.
His phone was going nuts. Righto, Jared. What decision does the Suns board make tonight on Guy McKenna?
They need to provide some certainty and some clarity for Guy McKenna. He's due that. And the environment that exists right now, where some are suggesting we're in the countdown to a sacking here, some are suggesting that there'll be the announcement of a review tonight. I would hope sincerely that that review had been done. I cannot see the wisdom in sawing Guy McKenna off here. They know it's a 5-year window that they need to go through with the first coach. And the first coach very rarely is the one who brings to fruition in the expansion history of the game. But they know full well that he needs the 5-year block. And he can take all this back to when Gary Ablett injured the shoulder. They were going to make the finals and this conversation wouldn't even be happening.
What if he's lost the players?
Well, then I guess he puts him in the category of Brenton Sanderson at that point.
Well, Patrick Dangerfield's told people today that he only realised this was happening yesterday and he was stunned by the decision. Now, we were putting Patrick Dangerfield on the agenda heavily last night because we go to the best players, the most influential players. And the impression I've got today is that the players such as Dangerfield didn't have that huge of a say in
Mark
Sanderson.
Rasciuto was pretty clear on that this morning. That
he said that they were addressed. But other people I've spoken to particularly said that Dangerfield wasn't.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm not pushing it back to Dangerfield, but I think the leadership group owns the decision in Adelaide. That's why there has to be certainty and clarity out of whatever the Suns board contemplates tonight. There has to be imposing a further state of limbo on Guy McKenna and the players would be radically unfair.
He watches the show every night, Guy McKenna. So if you're watching Guy, I know you've got a bit on your plate, but give us a buzz and tell us what's happened.
I think he might be in there right now.
Well, when you get out, give us a buzz and tell us if you got the job or not.
OK, back to the footy. The Kangaroos are in Sydney for the preliminary final tomorrow night. Drew Petrie's been a good friend of ours right throughout the year on AFL 360. Are you in the hotel room, Drew?
Yeah, in the hotel room, Jared. Thanks for having me.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very. We travelled up to Sydney today, and I think the longer the final series has gone, the better and more comfortable the group is in feeling that we're certainly meant to be here.
Who are you sharing a room with, Drew?
Robbo, I'm on my own.
Hey.
I've been that way for about 3 years. I used to have Boomer Harvey for a lot of the years, but I just like my own space when we travel now.
Do you get that because you're so old?
You're the one who always calls me old. I'm going to stop talking to you soon, Robbo.
No, old in footy terms, mate. There's no one more pleased than myself and Jared to see what you've been doing in the last match, in the last 10 minutes, mate. It was fantastic to watch. You right now must be feeling excited, but be confident in how you're going. Your hands, we spoke to you about round 12. Take some marks, Drew. You're doing it. You must be feeling, I can't wait to get out there and help lead this young team.
Yeah, certainly feeling more confident in how I'm going, but that's on the back of how probably the side's going at the moment. The forward line's functioning really well, and getting some really good delivery from our midfield too. So I suppose we all work together and we all benefit from each other's good form. So I'm not certainly doing any of that on my own. It's the team around me that's helped me get a few touches of late.
You are heavy underdogs, Drew, and yet preliminary finals have histories of a team like North Melbourne in this scenario at least taking it to the much vaunted team that you're against. Do you take heart from history?
Oh, we take heart from the last fortnight. I mean, the first half against Essendon wasn't very good, but the last 6 quarters we've played have been really good. So that's where we get our belief from. It's a whole different group to the side that played finals back in 2012, and being a lot more confident now. You'll certainly see it. We understand the challenge we've got ahead of us. Sydney Swans are an almighty team to come up against, but yeah, we believe we're meant to be here, and we're confident from the last 2 performances we've had.
So what do you watch on TV? What do you do tonight, Drew?
Well, we're all watching 360 at the moment. We've got the boys getting massages, having their dinner. There's some boys playing darts, and got 360 on the big projection screen at the hotel we're staying at. So that's what we're doing at the moment, and there's no footy to watch, so we'll have to maybe scroll through the movie channel to see what's going on there.
Does it come up? Do the movies come up on the bill?
Yeah, well, that's always a deterrent for those whose minds wander when they're away from their loved ones.
Tell me, no, that's a good line. Tell me, as I said, you're a very experienced player, and you've got a young fella who's in your forward line. You're the general, and you've got a young fella in Ben Brown, inexperienced, and you're a really young fella in Turner. Do you talk to him the night before, or do you talk to him tomorrow, or do you leave that to the line coaches and Brad?
Well, mainly leave it to the line coaches, but we trained this morning, so you're communicating at training, and then tomorrow, mainly in that 2-hour block where we get to the ground before the game, that's where you start to just go through the scenarios a bit more and speak about, the situations and our structures and just maybe, it's probably just bringing those guys back to the simple things and what's got them a kick and what's got them a game in this back half of the year, and that's just to play the role. It's probably a boring throwaway line that everyone's sick of, but it is. I mean, Kane, he brings his pressure. That's where he kicks his goals, and Benny Brown just works all over the ground and leads really hard, strong hands, and that's how he gets his goals. So just bringing him back to those simple things. Just out of curiosity, will you be nervous tomorrow night? I expect to be, but again, I think that the nerves, we've sort of flushed a lot of those nerves out in the two games we've already played. Nervous because there's a grand final at stake for next week. That's where the nerves will be. But the group's a lot more comfortable now compared to where we were a couple of weeks back. Good luck with it, Drew. We'll be there. We'll be watching. We'll be hoping. Thanks, boys. Drew Petrie with us on AFL 360. We'll bring in the fighters, Cam Mooney and Barry Hall, the topics of the week and the in-depth look at these 2 matches before us, the preliminary finals of 2014.
Awake on my airplane, my skin is there, my skin is there. It's a 15-metre penalty! Oh, no! Buckenara needs to kick this to put Hawthorn in the grand final. He's done it! Hawthorn have made it! Very important possession. Watson's got it. Watson goes for goal. Right on the boundary line, shooter. He will kick after the siren. There is no justice in football. Lockett, the most important kick of his career. Any score will do. He kicks. Darren Jarman. The spotlight is on him. 35 metres out. The Crows are in front. His kick is a puller. Straight to Wallace. The mean bad man. Can he cover himself in glory? He's lost it. That could be the turnover that cost them. To Wanganeen, who kicked a goal earlier in the quarter. Surely there'll be a score. There is. There's a major score. Adler gets through. He can do plenty. Books it back. How about that? Come at the moment. Come at the man. The son of the man.
Moments do live in minds, don't they, Moons?
That was magnificent, little guys. Bit of hair there, guys, too. Look good.
Let us get something in that mould. Barry Hall, welcome.
G'day, boys.
All right, straight to the here and now. Did the Crows sack a coach that they don't know yet whether he was a good coach or a failed coach?
Well, it's funny, look, I'm really shattered for him and just texting to and fro with Sando. He was blindsided. He said that. He completely surprised as far as player support. He felt that he had absolute player support. I've spoken to some people over there and they've even said that the players were absolutely shocked with these decisions. Then you listen to Rue and speaking on radio, and does he obviously know something that we don't from the inside? Clearly he does. But I just think, yes, they're like 3 years into his job. 2012 they play off in a prelim. Now they probably played above themselves that year. I think they had an easier draw that year at the start. Next year they lose Tippett, and on the back of that they lose draft picks. Another couple of months later they lose Walker, so they lose their 2 key forwards, and then because of those draft picks they had to get rid of a great clubman in Bernie Vince, and then Walker finally comes back, and he's always going to take a good year to get back into the swing of things. Along the way he loses Dean Bailey unfortunately to illness, so he's had a couple of bad hands there, Sando, and they've only just missed the finals this year. They've got an amazing group. Talk about their forward line, they finished 4th in attack. 2 All-Australian defenders this year. We know how good their midfield is. I think they pulled the trigger too early, but like I said,
why was he sacked? I'm a bit torn. I think if they think he's not the man for the job to move forward, you might as well do it now than later, but they signed him for 2 years not that long ago.
9 months ago they signed it.
If he has got some issues that he needs to work on and gets better as a coach, give him some feedback then and say, look, we think you're the man to take this club forward. We've signed you for 2 years, but you need to improve in these areas. I don't know whether they have done that or not, but if they did do that...
Well, clearly not. The big question was,
Baz,
they signed him 9 months ago and said, well, you're taking us to our next premiership. That's what we believe. And then in the space of 9 months, without warning him that things are going wrong, they've just...
Should they have discussions with the coach if there's issues along the way? Shouldn't they be addressing them and saying, right, let's try to work through this together?
Absolutely. Why would you want anything to fester if things are going poorly? I mean, I was at a club 2006 where things festered and went poorly, and we nearly lost our coach because of it. We just about didn't see a 2-time premiership coach in Bomber.
You look at what feedback can do, and you speak about the Gary Ablett Jr. story.
Yeah.
The group giving feedback. He walked out, he came back into the club a different person, and the way he trained and went about it, he's become almost the best player going around just through feedback from a group. So whether they give Sando that sort of feedback going forward, I'm not sure.
Clearly not. Rashudo said this morning he was asked that it makes him not a great coach, and he said, well, basically he said,
good coaches don't get sacked.
Yeah.
The Brent Harvey side of things, the anti-authoritarians would have had a union meeting, wouldn't you? As this was unfolding.
A big party. Pyjama party at Baz's.
It was suggested that this was sort of the Barry Hall clause that he got off under the team.
It was a disgrace.
So he should. I just hope that this is a catalyst that they actually change some of the rules in this, and there is some accidental contact that's going to happen in a contact sport. If you go in deliberate and with some malice and you go head high, you should get rubbed out. I'm the first person to say it. But if you're going into bump, look, that's a nothing thing. I think the Nate Fyfe thing we always revert back to. If it's in play and the guys are going for the footy, it's a fair bump and it's accidental contact. Let's not see them rubbed out. They're great players, and it's big stakes. It's a preliminary final. They need Brent Harvey to play well to try and knock off the Swans. So it's really big stakes. You can't have these players sitting out of the game for little incidents like that.
Look, it's good to see that they made some common sense. It was fantastic. We didn't see the common sense with Nate Fyfe, but if Fremantle had fought that, they probably would have got off. So Fyfe was pretty unlucky on that one. But let's be honest, that was a nothing hit. We know, yes, Joel bled. Joel would bleed if he sneezed. That eye opens up every second week. So great decision by the tribunal to let Boomer play. It was a great decision.
You were really close with Adam Goods. It's game 350 tomorrow. Do they need motivation, or is it just another game?
It'll be just another game for them. But look, he's one of the club greats. It's a great achievement for him. 350 games, club record holder. But I think Goodsy needs to really live for this game. I reckon he's been struggling with form. I think the complete package we're seeing as Adam Goods usually is certainly not there. His defensive side of the game isn't there at the moment. His offensive side, he kicks a couple of goals here and there, keeps him in the side. So I'd like to see him have a really big impact and earn his stripes for hopefully going to the grand final. But But
he's in a bit of a rut, but if he gets out of it, what a bonus that would be for Sydney.
Well, he's an impact player now, isn't he? I mean, he's not going to be the Adam Goods of game 200, 250. No. But look, milestone games, they show a big highlights tape during the week. Everyone sits around and it's amazing to watch.
Look for yourself in the highlights.
You look for yourself, kicking the ball at the time. But come game day, it'll probably won't even be mentioned again after the highlights tape, really. So
he's been a champ though, Baz, hasn't he?
Yes, no, he's one of the greats of the Swans, and
one of your best teammates.
Well, he's won 2 Brownlows, so you can't. One of the better players I've played with, no doubt.
The game itself, are you in Robbo's camp here? If the Swans don't progress to a grand final, it's a wasted year.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think they'll do it. The Swans. I think they're too well drilled. I think their talent base is too good. Look, for North Melbourne to win, they've got to have every player playing well, and they've got to play pretty consistent footy for 4 quarters. Yeah, it sounds cliche, but that's the reality. They need all their players to play some really good football to knock off these Sydney Swans. I'm just worried about how they're going to match up on the Swans key forwards. They look really dangerous up there. As you said, if Adam Goods comes good and he's 350th, he's just a bonus on top of a pretty firm and tasty cake. There's going to be some cream on top of that. So
we can talk about the Sydney forward line for an hour. And then we move to the midfield. Then we go, oh yeah, right, let's talk about their midfield. I mean, they are deep. They bat deep everywhere. And people are questioning the Swan, not questioning, but they're trying to find a reason where North can get them. And they say, the 2 get defensive men, Richards and Grundy. Richards has been written off for 8 years, mate. He keeps standing up every game.
They're not slouches, those two boys.
No, they're not.
They're 2 very, very good players. We saw probably last Friday night when Geelong brought that heat for 10 or 15 minutes, what happened? Sydney bring that heat for 2 hours.
Yeah.
They really do. So, look, I think it's been an unbelievable run by North, and I'd love to see them get up. It'd be fantastic. I just don't think they can.
Hawthorn, no thrilling preliminary finals along the way.
2011 they lose by 3 points. 2012 they win by 5, and last year they win by 5. So they do like the close ones, and this is my close one again. I just think we always get a blowout and we always get a really close one, and I still think they'll get over the line because they're Hawthorn. They're arguably the best club in everything they do, on and off the field. They're the best club in the game. And I just think they will probably get over the line, but I'm just dying to see what Port Adelaide bring.
When you're in Sydney and you were playing with younger people, was Sydney going, beauty, we're going to the MCG, this is going to be great, or can players be daunted by the MCG on such a big occasion?
Oh no, you relish the opportunity. It's exactly what you play for.
So they can't wait to get there.
The home and away season is just their practice matches. This is what you really play for. You play for the pointy end of the season, and this is what you wind up for. This is what you tailor your training around, your workloads. You get players fresh, you get them peaking this time of year. So every player just relishes the opportunity to play finals footy for one. But if you make it to the pointy end, the last 4 sides in the competition, it's pretty unique. So you got to relish those opportunities.
Well, their 2 games last year at the MCG. When we spoke about it last year. Are they ready, Port, to go to the MCG?
Yeah.
They beat Collingwood, biggest club in the country, and they beat Geelong. No, nearly beat Geelong, sorry. What we saw at that second half last week when you were carrying on a little bit at Baz's pub was an unbelievable second half of
Moons was asking me, who's that? I'm going, that's crazy. I was telling him who all the players were.
Just on the 2 Hawthorn players who aren't going to be there, what's your feelings for Brad Sewell, who's such a warrior in these circumstances, a dual premiership player, dropped from the team preliminary final?
Yeah, it's a really sad story. As someone who does everything right, he's a real gritty player, and he's a player that the players would love to play with. And you asked him 2 weeks ago what would happen if this would be the case, and he was pretty optimistic with his chances. He thought he played a style of football that's a finals type style, so he was pretty optimistic with his chances. But look, I really feel for him because, as I said, he puts everything out there. He trains hard, he prepares.
Giving every inch of himself.
He does. It's just really unfortunate.
Look, they're playing the fastest team in the competition, so that's obviously played against him. We know what a worry is around the ball. Once the ball leaves there, that's where he's going to struggle, especially against Port. 1999, I got dropped for a prelim. Peter Bell rang me up and said, mate, a week is a long time in football. Anything can happen.
What happened?
Jace McCartney, God love him, decided to go and whack somebody in a prelim, and I got in. So anything can happen in a week.
You nearly won the Norm Smith, didn't you?
I was very stiff.
Is Cyril Rioli the smart play here?
Look, I'm sure. I thought if he's going to play in the VFL, I would have played him in the AFL. my personal opinion, I think this man is a game turner. We now know he's not the player that's going to get 25 possessions. We know that. But his 12 possessions are probably the best 12 possessions you may ever see on the night. And what he does with them is special. He can turn a game on its head in the space of 5 or 10 minutes. So, okay, they don't play him this week, but you bring him in next week if they go through.
I thought he would have been a perfect sub. I thought he could have come on for the last quarter if the game's in the balance, or if they got the luxury of being ahead, they can almost coast him in to get a quarter under his belt.
We had a function last week. You found out you weren't invited, Barry's function. They had an impersonator there.
How did he go?
Took you off.
Yeah.
I thought it was you. I thought it wasn't he. He was very, very good. The hair, the nose, everything. I thought it was you. I looked over and I thought, oh, he's here.
Robbo should work for a campaign called Gamble Responsibly, because he played me in pool 3 times and got drilled. And that's not responsible gambling.
Enjoy the prelims. We'll see you next Thursday night. So let's bring in Michael Voss now to talk matters at the pointy end of the season and indeed the coaching environment as it has been reshaped in the past couple of days.
Cox throws it onto the left. One last roll of the dice for the Eagles! Leo Barry, you star! Mackey's going to drive it to the dangerous spot. Where's Hawkins? Goldstein gets back. What a back! Goldstein! Todd Goldstein has had his Leo Barry moment. Goldstein takes the mark for North Melbourne. His Leo Barry moment.
We have loaded up on September expertise. Michael Voss, welcome.
Good to be here, Jared.
Now, we've rehearsed this. Michael, are there any circumstances under which you would consider being a senior coach again?
No.
Cash.
No, I was so far from that mindset. I've gone in a completely different direction at the moment and quite content with it.
Something, so to be honest, so something extraordinary would have to happen.
It'd have to, something extraordinary.
So as Jim Carrey said, you're still a chance.
So you're telling me I'm a chance?
Yeah, a little bit.
When you see what happens to Brenton Sanderson over the past 24 hours or so, it's not at all dissimilar to what happened to you. What do you feel for him?
Well, probably reminds you why you're not doing the job, such as the brutality of it. But look, I just hope at the end of all this that he got a chance to be able to have someone speak to him about it beforehand, that he had someone come up to him and say, if it was the players, whatever the reasons were, look, we've discussed with the players, there's some issues there, we need to take it to the board, it needs to be presented and we're going to discuss it. Because I think you can handle the job and the brutality of it, but in those circumstances, you just want them to be up front. That's all. And if you can get that and you can get that clarity, then you can accept the consequence perhaps in the end. You might not be able to necessarily live with it, but you've got to get on with it. And in this case, whether that's happened or not, it appears not at the moment. But I'd love to think that someone's actually sitting down beforehand and it hasn't just happened at the board table and then they've come out and told him.
You were a player of extraordinary talent where you were a self-motivator, you were a doer. You didn't have to get told a lot. How difficult was it to be told by people who you think you know better than football, you're a far better player than them, you thought you got a better handle on the team than those people? How difficult was it for a champion of the game to be told by people that you're out?
No, not at all, because we've all got roles in this industry and we've all got, you understand that as a player there's a certain job requirement you have and that's to go out and do the best you possibly can. As a coach, you've got to get those players up and going every single week to perform at their best. And the board's there to do a job. They've got to be able to oversee the whole club and they've got to make these tough decisions, and that's their role in the football club. So the fact that they can actually come and say, look, you're not the guy that's going to take us going forward, well, that's what they're employed to do. Everyone's got a role within the football club and your job is to get on with business and not get messed up with all that sort of stuff and and focus on coaching. But look, it's a tough job. It's getting tougher.
Oh, it is
getting tougher. And I think we heard Chapman talk about the scope of the role, and it is huge. There's so much responsibilities, and you know, we've talked about it a lot, I know. But so I really feel for him at this particular time. He probably would have rang players afterwards to give some clarity. He certainly would have rang the leadership group, I would have thought, at the very least, before he made his press conference, or maybe even spoke to the group beforehand. And it sounds like the players have actually given him a call too.
Okay, the recruit, the finale was a huge success last night, and I suppose everyone has their fingers crossed now that there might be a prospect from reality television who can find his way at football at Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it's amazing to be able to think that we're sitting here and we've got a reality TV and we've found out.
And you're on it. You're the host of it, mate.
It's quite amazing where football life takes you. And you talk about opportunities, Robbo, and 12 months ago you don't have your role at the Brisbane Lions, and then you're standing on stage here and you're presenting an opportunity to a young man who's come from country Port Lincoln and South Australia, and now he's signing a contract with the Port Adelaide Football Club, and that's just an absolute dream. He didn't think 6 months ago that he was going to be able to get that chance. So to present an opportunity, no matter what forum that it actually is, in this case it's to do with entertainment, and to give an option and choice for the player, that is just a huge success in our books. And people got to sit there and watch their journey and be absorbed by them as people and them as players. And he'll get a following from this. Absolutely he will.
But you were all in. I mean, you got emotional on the show. I mean, you've been close to these men. You must have been proud as anything like last night with these young men, were you?
Oh, it was great. And Padraig Lucy has been confirmed, obviously, as a rookie too with the Cats. So there's two players, and this is just where football's going. It's just changed so much, the opportunities that exist, and I think it brings back hope, Robbo, and that's why we go to the football. We go to the football because every week we think our team can win. You know, 4 teams are going this week, and they think they can get to a grand final. And so all of a sudden we've brought back hope into our game. The people who are lost to our system, that have been outside, all of a sudden now have a chance. So I don't expect that season 2 is going to be much bigger.
Season 2, so is your salary, apparently.
Play the weekend.
Talking about cash, don't you, Robbo?
You're the oh well, it's important. It's important.
Play the weekend forecast with us, Vossi, for the preliminary finals. Start us off with your sure thing.
Well, the sure thing is the head clash is well and truly gone. So I don't think we're going to have one of those. So if you have a head clash, it might not even get to the MRP.
You could decapitate a player this week, and they'll say, no, you'll be right, you'll be straight through. Mine's on a similar vein. I can absolutely guarantee you that Boomer Harvey will not be reported this week. He will not be reported. He will pull out a contest in fear of getting done over.
All right. Our attention is going to be diverted tomorrow. That's what I'm sure of. As the 1:30 in Federal Court, Justice Middleton brings down his ruling in Essendon versus Asada. I just hope that by 7 o'clock we're back on the football.
I'm going to the Federal Court. I'll be writing my story. That'll be so far out of my head when the game starts on Fox, and I'll be listening to you and King. That will be so far removed because the preliminary final is the thing tomorrow.
I hope so. Most at stake, Vossi?
Well, it's probably Adam Goods, because if Sydney do find themselves in a situation where they do lose, the question starts to raise whether they continue with the career of Adam Goods or they decide to move on from there. So whether that makes it most at stake or not, but he's been a champion, 350 games. I mean, that's just an incredible effort. He's been an absolute ambassador of our game.
You cheated, mate. You like taking all my stuff. Head real cash, Boomer. Mine's Sydney Swans. If they lose, I've already put it on the agenda. It's a failed year. Now, everyone say, well, they got something out of it. Yeah, little bits. They want the big thing. And there's only so many opportunities you have in life to be a challenger, and this is one of them. If they don't win tomorrow night, this is a big cross for the Sydney Swans this year.
Okay. I'm Cyril, even though he's in the VFL Grand Final. So at Etihad tonight and tomorrow night, Justin Timberlake is playing. So we know what happens there. Surface gets churned up.
I thought you were going to say that you're going.
No, there's the underage grand final.
I thought Cyril was performing.
You and Cyril were going to Justin Timberlake.
It'll be a bit churned up. He's got to get through. He's
Don't do a hamstring.
No, I saw him do the hamstring on the dodgy Sydney surface earlier in the year.
When you're dancing tonight to Justin Timberlake, don't you do a hamstring either.
Doomsday scenario, Michael.
Well, doomsday scenario is not... Well, there's no doomsday scenario for grand finalists, but have we considered Port Adelaide and North Melbourne grand final? Because I think it's the blockbuster we're all talking about.
That'd be great.
Is the Hawks and Sydney Swans. But here we are on the eve, preliminary final, 4 teams, and we could end up with a situation of North Melbourne, Port Adelaide. I mean, it would be a staggering result to be able to get that. It's not so much doomsday, but it's more like a likely scenario.
Robbo?
Mine's away from the 2 teams tomorrow night. It involves Bomber Thompson and Essendon. And it's going to be Essendon's doomsday because one team looking for a coach might offer Bomber a deal he cannot refuse. And if Guy McKenna is gone, I don't think he is, the AFL needs someone up there. And the AFL might come in and say, here, Bomber, here's $1.5 million.
All right.
What's yours?
I'm with you. The Swans losing is clearly the doomsday. Everything you've said, I agree with on Sydney.
Sorry for taking you.
Vossy, enjoy the weekend.
Good to be here.
Looking forward to being with you on Fox Footy. So this time tomorrow night, the first of the preliminary finals, the Sydney Swans and North Melbourne to book themselves a place in the 2014 Grand Final.
I need to ask you, have you ever streaked at 3 a.m. in the morning?
Never. You didn't actually have to add the 3 a.m. rider to it either.
My wife doesn't get me to get up and do it at the end of the bed or anything, but... just start busting out, a beer bong comes in off the side. It's definitely a bit of fun.
He's a bleeder. He's a bleeder. What was the movie we was that in? We got ourselves a bleeder.
A 1 and 2 and
We got a bleeder!
Does anyone say you're a wanker?
Oh, you just did.
Have you got a hittable head?
Fifey will probably say yes. But,
played on Nick pretty well the last round. He said something? Before the bounce, he came up and he said, "How's your cat?" So
Kenny's in the box going off his head, right?
Yeah.
And he gets down the ground and goes,
just settle out. I didn't see him in the box. I did. I see him.
He's going off.
is my other stablemate Jordan Lewis. Is your chance to win the Brownlow on Monday night?
He put up a nice little picture on Instagram yesterday with a new suit, so he's obviously going, which is a good start.
You've got a cut head, you've got a black eye. Did you get yours on Saturday?
Mine was probably from yesterday, to be honest.
Some of the fun of the week on AFL 360. So, footy tomorrow night and Saturday here on Fox Footy. And then on Monday night, we're at the Brownlow. Yep. The earlier time of 7 p.m. So, the red carpet
we're on
special.
From 7?
Yes, the red carpet special on Fox Footy at 6:30. We're on
talking
from 7.
at 7.
Yes, and we'll run up to
When was someone going to tell me that? Like, just then?
It is a touch earlier than you normally arrive.
I know.
So, be there in your tux.
Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, good luck if your team's playing. We'll see you on Monday from the Brownlow.